The date was October 5th, 1997, and the place was St. Louis, Missouri. We had The Undertaker taking on the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, in Hell in a Cell for the first time ever. And it was quite the spectacle. Now, I didn't actually get to see this match until a couple years later, because I managed to go into a video store and then I saw the VHS there, and I just remembered seeing that VHS cover and thinking it was totally badass, because you had The Undertaker holding up his own decapitated head, you had this spooky background behind him, and you had the Bad Blood logo written in blood. So it was super cool. And then I remember popping in the VHS and seeing that opening video package for the pay-per-view. You had HBK acting all cocky and arrogant. You know, he was a total asshole, major heel at this point in 1997, and he was kind of mimicking his real life persona, you know, the person he was outside the ring. And you'll have Shawn Michaels to this day admit that. So the running theme for this feud was HBK was constantly using chair shots on The Undertaker, and then he was pretty much running away after. So like hitting Taker with the chair, then like scurrying off. And then we had Shawn Michaels forming D-Generation X around this time with Triple H and Chyna, and also the insurance policy Rick Rude. So you had the initial formings of DX and them getting together, and all the odds were pretty much stacked against The Undertaker. And another note I wanted to make is that the music that the WWF would use for video packages at this time was so freaking good, and it would always get me super hyped to watch the actual match.
Tonight, there's no way in, no way out, no one to stop the carnage.
This match was built as No Way In and No Way Out. It was the first time ever that the WWF has put on a Hell in a Cell match, which was basically a steel cage match, but with a top on it. So there was absolutely no way out of this Hell in a Cell, so to speak. So there was a lot of hype leading up to it. We had PlayStation sponsoring the event, one of the best consoles of all time, just saying. And we had the trio of Vince McMahon, Jerry Lawler, and good old JR on commentary. And I thought these three, that they made a good trio as commentators and on screen. HBK has an interview in the back. He's mocking the European Championship, acting really coy and cocky. He continues that as he's walking outside down the ramp to the ring, and the fans are just completely booing him, showering him in jeers and boos. And then all of a sudden, when HBK's in the ring, we have all the lights go out in the arena. And then we have thunder being heard. And as the thunder's being heard, we have the lights syncing to that thunder sound. So the fans are just like totally into it. It's a really cool effect in the arena. And then Shawn is also acting very scared as well. And it all just blends together so well and so cool. And also I noticed that people are holding up lighters for The Undertaker as he makes his way down the ramp. And the lighters just look so cool and nostalgic compared to the cell phone lights that we get of today. So you then have The Undertaker raise his arms suddenly, and then you hear a big bang as the arena lights go full blast. And then Shawn has this look on his face where he's completely scared shitless. It's like HBK is just realizing right now that he's locked in this cage and there's no way out. He cannot escape. And I found that Shawn Michaels did some good acting here. So Taker is very slow plodding as the match begins. You have HBK trying to create distance, staying away from him. But then Taker starts to completely own HBK with power and precision. Shawn then gets the odd offense move in, but is quickly shut down by the Deadman. Taker does a good spot where he backdrops Shawn from inside the ring against the cage. HBK is then trying to climb inside of the cage, but Taker ends up grabbing him and powerbombing Shawn right into it. So HBK is just getting totally owned here and dominated by the Undertaker, and it's basically really satisfying to watch. Taker then lays in some really good legit looking punches, and then he hits Shawn Michaels with a really cool pillar to type post move where he has Shawn in his arms, hits Shawn against the post, and then turns him around and hits him right against the cage. So that looked really brutal. And then HBK is also selling it so good by his facial expressions, which look spot on. Shawn then finally hits a move of offense in, and the crowd, they absolutely hate it. Shawn then does a great spot where he torpedoes himself into Taker, who's standing on the outside of the ring, and he gets Taker to go right against the cage. So some great velocity on that torpedo. He then climbs on the inside of the cage again, Michaels does, but this time he drops an elbow on Taker, who's on the ground on the outside. So it's a very unorthodox, athletic, but super cool move by the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. The momentum is now in Shawn Michaels' favor. He then attacks Undertaker with the ring stairs, and then he hits the Undertaker with a sick looking pile driver right onto the steps. And there's just a giant thud sound that the crowd really reacts to.
On the top of the steps again! Oh my God!
This is when Shawn Michaels starts to get mad at the camera people around him because they're filming shots so close and he's bumping into them at times. And I remember thinking that this was kind of real back when I was watching it when I was 11 or so. It seemed kind of believable because the space was pretty tight between the ring and the cage, and it seemed like Shawn Michaels was legit getting heat and that he was mad at these people. So we then have HBK grabbing the chair, getting some good shots in on the Undertaker, which is a running theme in this feud like I mentioned before. Taker then gets locked up in the ropes, but then eventually hits a back body, dropping Michaels again from inside the ring to outside the ring, but this time unknowingly on a cameraman. And this is when Shawn Michaels gets red hot pissed, and he ends up knocking out the cameraman and even stomps on him after. And this is where the crowd absolutely hates HBK during all this. And like I said before, it really does look convincing. There was also like cameras cutting out during this time, getting like fuzzy screens and everything like that. So it really added to the realism of everything. And I thought WWF did a great part of blurring the lines of what's real and what's not. So since the cameraman is hurt, they now have to open the cage door in order for the EMT crew to get inside and help him out. Some good writing here. So as all that happens, we have Shawn Michaels hit an awesome looking sweet chin music on the Undertaker right in the center of the ring, but the Undertaker sits right up like Michael Myers. Shawn then runs away in a chicken shit heel type of way. He notices that the cage door is now open, so he goes right through, but then the Undertaker is right behind him. Shawn Michaels tries to hit a drop kick on the Undertaker, but he ends up getting caught. The Undertaker catches him and catapults Michaels right into the cage, which looks super painful. And at this moment, Shawn is busted open, and he's busted open big because he's bleeding like a stuffed pig. To add insult to injury, Taker then grabs HBK, he torpedoes him right into the cage, face first, and the crowd is absolutely loving it. He does it once more, which gives us a great camera shot of HBK's bloody face, full of terror and fear. And also JR is doing a great job of commentating during all this, saying Taker's using him as a goddamn javelin. So all around, we're really cooking here. and it just seems to be getting better and better. Shawn is then able to scale the cage and climb on top of it, but again, Taker is right behind him on his heels, not losing sight of him. So Taker also climbs the cage and gets on top of it, and at this point, the crowd is absolutely going nuts. Two main eventers, WWF, Hell in a Cell the first time ever, and they're standing on top of the cell. So then Taker back body drops HBK on the top of the cell. He then takes Shawn's face and starts rubbing it against the cage, as blood then drips down from the top of the cage into the camera lens that's filming below. I then love this part because you then have the cameraman yelling out loud and freaking out as blood is dropping into his camera. Michaels tries to climb down the cage to get away from Taker once more, but Taker catches him, so Shawn's holding on with both hands. Taker stomps one of Shawn's hands, so now Shawn is holding on with one hand onto the cage. Taker then stomps the other, and then when this happens, Jerry the King Lawler yells on commentary, "Incoming!" as Shawn then falls from the cage and crashes right through the Spanish announce table. The sound of this thing is freaking awesome, and it gets a huge crowd pop. It all looks like a crime scene as you see a pool of HBK's blood on the floor. HBK is just completely being owned by the Undertaker at this point, and it is simply amazing. The psychology between the Undertaker and Shawn Michaels is so damn good. You then have HBK on his knees. He's barely able to stand up at all, and he's rocking a pure crimson red mask of blood, and it looks like it's straight out of a horror movie. At this point, it's looking like HBK stands no chance. Taker hits Shawn with the chokeslam from the top rope. Taker then takes a chair and lays Shawn out with a brutal looking chair shot right to his head. Taker then signals for the tombstone to end this thing, but then all the lights in the arena go out and we hear a very long piano chord. Then from the entrance ramp comes out Paul Bearer with this huge, tall, muscular looking dude with red costume, red and black mask, and it is the Undertaker's brother, because Vince does a great call saying, "That's gotta be Kane." And I just love how Kane rips the cage door off from the hinges, and Undertaker is selling it so well by the look of shock on his face and pure horror. Kane is standing toe to toe with the Undertaker, eye to eye, as he's just as tall as him. The ring is lit with these red lights, which look super cool. Kane then does his iconic raising of the arms and bringing them down as fire shoots from all the ring posts. Undertaker is totally shook looking around as Kane then hits the Undertaker with his own finisher, the Tombstone Piledriver. HBK is still knocked out as all this happens. Kane then leaves the ring. Shawn then very slowly climbs over to the Undertaker. He manages to put just one arm over his chest to start the pin. Earl Hebner, the referee, then does a great job at slowly counting to capture the emotion and the moment. 1, 2, and 3. The Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels has pulled it off and won this match. He's passed out face first in a pool of his own blood, and it is awesome. What a match. Triple H and Chyna have to come out to pick Shawn Michaels off of the ground onto his feet and basically drag him out of there and down the ramp. And Shawn is doing such a good job at acting totally zombified, where Triple H then has to take Shawn's limp arm and raise it in the air to signify victory. This is quite possibly one of the greatest matches of all time, and I want to make a video on it because it's actually the 27th anniversary of this match happening. And It's also the Halloween season, and this match fits it perfectly. So thank you so much for watching my breakdown and analysis of this match. If you enjoyed this video at all, I'd appreciate it for you to smash that like button. Helps my channel out a ton, gets it out there in the algorithm, gives it traction to show to more people, and it helps me keep motivated to do videos like these, which I really do enjoy making. So thank you so much once again for watching this. I hope everyone's having a good spooky season. Feel free to comment below of other Halloween type matches with The Undertaker, Kane, Michaels, etc. because I really like talking in the comment section and getting ideas and just chatting with other like-minded fans. So thanks once again. I hope everyone's going to have a good Spooktober and spooky season, and hopefully you enjoyed this Hell in the Cell breakdown with The Undertaker and the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Happy Halloween, everybody.